City Council meeting is October the 5th, 2020 at 6 p.m. And it's time to call the meeting to order. Ms. Rhodes, roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Austin?
Here.
Mr. Blankenship?
Here.
Mr. Yukon?
Here.
Ms. Jones? Present. Ms. McGinnis?
Here.
Mr. Raynerson?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
So you have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Is Mr. Tom Jones here, or Tom Moore here? I don't see him here. So anyway, Bob, can you lead us in prayer?
Sure. Let's go ahead and stand. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for this beautiful day and for this time of season. We thank you for the city that we have, that we enjoy, and also do our duties and our responsibilities to ensure that it's the place that we like to live. Be with this council and mayor and legal counsel and participants and the public, that we may do what is best for the city, and that everything that we do will be favorable in your eyes. And it's in your son's name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bob. Okay. Is there any announcements? Presentations? Any public comment? Hearing none, we will go to the consent agenda.
Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as written. Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we will go into old business.
Read to move old business by title only.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, we will go into the first item. Common Council Ordinance number 20-13, an ordinance establishing a public art advisory commission for the city. Community Development Specialist, Dana Mossy.
Good evening. I'm here tonight for the second reading to present to you ordinance number 2020-13, which is the establishment of a public arts advisory commission. As a recap from what we discussed at the last meeting, this is part of the requirements for the Cultural Arts District to be formed here in the city. The purpose of that Cultural Arts District is to help us working with the state to be able to obtain more grants, more opportunities to have public art, to help us move forward the process of creation of public art within the cultural district, which will primarily be downtown, but which will also move out into the city proper, provide us more opportunities for showcasing art and bringing art within our city, bringing it more for enjoyment for our residents to have, to improve the quality of place within our city. Tonight also, Patrick Tisdale is here from the Creative Council. The mayor and I have been talking to him and just wanted him to come up and speak for just a moment, just to kind of give you an idea of what public art means to the city and why this designation is important to us. Chris has been working on this for a year, trying to get this going. It's a long process, but it's well worth doing. So I wanted to ask Patrick to come up just for a moment and just kind of speak to you about that.
And Patrick asked me we had talked about how is this going to be funded, which is going to be a lot of donations made. However, to get it started so we can get some grants and get it moving, what my thought is, you know, at the end of the year, we have money left over in budgets that's not spent, and we come back, we call that raking it over to either the rainy day or we rake it into the general fund. I think like last year, we had $500,000 that we didn't spend. Well, my goal would be to come to the council in January and maybe put $10,000 from the money that's saved due to 2019, 2020 budget, to put it in that to help get it started. So I just want to get that out there to start with, but that's what I'm looking to do. We'll bring it to you. Of course, you would have to approve it, but that's going to be my proposal after January 1st, or it's either January or February, and you come with those funds, right, Jane?
Correct.
So,
And Mr. Mayor, if I might, in order for you to do this, we have to start an ordinance. That's why it's before you in this format. It's not unprecedented. We've done this on various councils and various advisory types of committees. So there is precedence for doing this, but this one will be solely dedicated to arts and downtown.
And Mr. Tisdale here has been the advisory to the mayor's office for the last couple of years anyway, and we've been trying to get to this point, so here we are. I'm sorry, Patrick, go ahead.
I'm going to lead with this. Going back to it. My name is Patrick Tisdale. I'm the board president of the Creative Council of Franklin. And like the mayor said, this has been ongoing for many years. Meeting after meeting, talking about what art and culture could look like in Franklin. So I'm really excited about this moment in particular, even though it seems like it's less exciting to the outside world, I would say. I gave each of you council members a copy of an article from website, the Americans for the Arts.org. It's just a list of 10 points, 10 reasons to support the arts from last year. I left some copies of that paper on this table here for anybody else who would like some. That lays out a lot of arguments for why arts and culture is important, and there's research behind that, but I don't want to go through that. I want to give you something a bit more tangible from right here in the city of Franklin, the other side of this wall, actually, to kind of illustrate why this is important to so many people. That article, the summary of that article says, the arts are a fundamental component of a healthy community, strengthening them socially, educationally, and economically, benefits that persist even in difficult social and economic times. Difficult social and economic times. Like everybody else, the Creative Council had big plans for 2020, which all got put on pause. And so we kind of talked about how we could fill any gap that was out there, to do something creative, to help our city in whatever way we could. And we came up with a thing we called Night Lights. It was a collaboration between the Creative Council and the Mayor's Office. And we did it 18 times between April 24th and September 4th, where we basically took a $15 overhead projector from the IU surplus store, cut out a stencil and used one outlet attached to City Hall and projected positive phrases up on the wall. Simple project, very cheap, small investment. It's an acting creative placemaking, basically, which is to say we created a positive experience in a familiar place for people. And there's a few of these images I'll refer to in just a second. But I do want to talk about Ed Piotrowski. This is my friend Ed over here, everybody. Ed came to one of these events. I believe it was the one where we saw a friend of mine, Raymond's face on the wall. I believe it was that night Ed came, and he had an inspiration, an idea. And anybody in leadership knows that inspiration is pretty common. Ideas flow all the time. What's important to a leader is when somebody comes back a second time with their idea and follows through with something, and that's what this is. Ed showed up in my house with this 3D print of the idea he told me about that night. It's just an idea of the small scale of what is intended to be about a 5-foot sculpture of a lightning bolt with a kite on it, and that kite is attached to the lightning bolt. His idea was that artists could decorate that kite, and that could be changed in and out intermittently. It's a great idea. It's reminiscent of ideas from other bigger cities like Indy or Chicago. It's the kind of thing that fits in our town. It could be done pretty simply when barriers are removed, right? So what we do here in the city is we create these moments of creative placemaking, which provide a space for people to go on during hard times. They feel safe coming out. Throughout this art of Night Lights, we began to add musicians. when it was a little bit safer to have more people out there. It lived on social media for a time, and then slowly we started to bring musicians in right there underneath the projection. We added some food trucks. Scoops and Treasures came by a lot, so they were selling ice cream across the street, where people would come by on bikes or walk by. They would stay socially distanced, wear masks. But it was a place to come, feel positivity, feel inspiration, and these things just kind of begin to get momentum. I'll just point out, economically speaking, these musicians made money. There was a tip jar out there. We weren't able to pay them, but they made anywhere from $36 to $115 one night. Scoops and Treasures was there, another food trucks, they made some money. Those musicians, at least on 2 occasions, took that money they made and went down to the restaurants, the beer hall, spent that money. So you just can't quantify what small things can do, small investments can do, especially when entrusted to creative people, and what we can do and what the outcome can be. I do want to just take a moment and say it has been a long time coming. Franklin, everybody knows Franklin's is a great place, and it's because it's taken so long, decades of planning to get to the point where streets are beautiful, sidewalks are beautiful, and so on. This has been at least 5 years of my planning to get to a point where the city is acknowledging what's already here happening. And it's an important thing to us creative people to hear this chamber and this mayor's office not just give lip service to the fact that we're here, we're doing our work, but making an ordinance and putting money behind it. So I just want to applaud this mayor and this chamber for that effort. So the mayor asked me just to say why it's important to establish this commission, and it's basically this, the same thing that was written on that paper. Healthy communities are strengthened socially, educationally, economically, and beautiful things happen, and it creates the texture of life that we all want in the place where we live. So thank you for your time and patience with me tonight, and thank you for all your efforts in creating this commission.
Thank you, Pat. He's been working with me trying to get Brian Girl circle.
It's a good circle.
You're a turtle optimist. I see it in writing.
Just some of the technical aspects of this ordinance, and I'm sure Ms. Gray would want me to point out. This is a volunteer organization. This commission will not be paid for their services. They will have a regular standard monthly meeting time, just as all other commissions do that we have here within the city. The appointees are placed, they're mayoral appointees. They're placed to represent the 11 different organizations that are listed within the ordinance as well.
And this is open for public hearing, by the way, so I'll open it up to the public for a public hearing if anybody else does the same thing. I think Patrick said a lot. We'll listen to anybody else.
I know we probably don't want to get into this tonight, but I guess from a higher view, how do you see this group? How do you see them functioning, I guess, in regards to bringing the art to Franklin?
It's a great group that can take the time to vet out potential opportunities, potential places, can help us when we're going through the processes of selecting artists. For example, the discussion going on right now with Indian American Water about the mural for their water tower. This is an organization that can help us to vet out the artists, vet out the ideas, bring them in before the mayor for final approval and everything. Because again, this is an advisory commission, so they do not have the final decisions. Their decisions, their suggestions will go into the mayor. So we see them as kind of that think tank vetting point to help bring these opportunities to life.
One of the things since you serve on the Board of Works today, Telecommunications Council
Right.
was born of much the same thing. There are people within our community that have certain expertise and are willing to lend that expertise, just like the telecommunications company did tonight. And they suggested something that's been in their works and came forward, the Board of Works approved it. So I can see it doing the same type of thing at the various committees that we have.
So we're not dependent on the mayor's surplus for our.
That's
That's
a public safety. That's a public safety. It's public safety.
And especially during COVID, with the projection,
Right.
all the messages that portrayed, that was really a great idea. And I think a lot of people enjoyed it, not only for the message it brought, but for the music and everything else. So kudos.
Mr. Jenkins?
I just want to acknowledge Patrick on the, I think it might have been the last session you had. I was really the only one I attended outside here. I got to come down and see my son and back up some guys. It was a fun night, and good to see him come out and just do what he does. So,
Dana, maybe you done,
sorry.
Has the 11 board appointment been made yet?
No, it has
It's
not.
not.
No, this is the first step.
Okay.
Correct, so they have 30 days for us to work on this, to get the appointees, get their approval, and then to set their first meeting. And then at their first meeting, they will set their officers and establish their
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, hi. Good evening. My name is Bruce Tisdale. I'm Patrick's father.
Sir, would you be so kind as
I will.
so that
Yes.
our minutes are accurate? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having this. And I can tell you, we moved originally to Franklin about 20 years ago, about 20, thereabouts. And I can tell you that Franklin has progressed so much. And part of that is the arts and the improvements made in the city. And what we're talking about here is another notch in the quality of life in the city, okay? And Patrick and I have talked about this for 5 years, maybe even more further back, that this was a concept, okay? And I can tell you it's worthwhile from a personal perspective. Obviously, I'm a little biased with him as my son, but I know also that he's committed to it. And he's committed to the arts, not just for himself, but for the community. And I think it is a worthwhile thing to do. I think it will benefit the city. Very little resources, it sounds like, have to go into it. I appreciate what you're talking about in terms of budget and maybe some funding along the way, but I think you'll find it well worth it and something you can brag about in Johnson County, in the state of Indiana, okay, as another item that shows that Franklin, Indiana is a very progressive city, a place to live, a place to work, and a place to be. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so the public hearing is closed. Does anybody else on the council have any questions for Dana? If not, we're ready to approve Upper Deck.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
We'll give it a second for Lisa, she's a little bit louder. So all those, all
She
those,
really likes the arts.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item. Common Council Budgetary Ordinance number 20-16, and additional appropriation, general fund, fire capital 400 in the amount of $145,602. Fire Chief Matt Cole.
So this is the second reading, and as we talked about last time, this is to purchase 4 cardiac monitors through Zoll, which is the company we use already, and it's going to be covered under the CARES Act, so it will be part of that money that will be break back in, as the mayor was talking about earlier, at the end of the year, to the city. The purchase price at the moment is $145,602, However, it's probably going to be a little bit lower than that by about $20,664. We decided to do something a little bit different with the surplus monitors that we have. But all the money will come back to the city. Some of the things that makes it CARES Act refundable is it provides CPR see-through, so when we're doing CPR on somebody, the actual medic on the scene can see the underlying heart rhythm and just not the mechanical compression that the other team members will be doing. It also has a function where if we hook up pediatric pads to it, the machine automatically knows that now it's in pediatric mode and it calculates what pediatric heart rate and stuff like that should be. That's unique to this monitor. And then also unique to the monitor, which is one of the big things for the CARES Act, is it has, they call it remote viewing, but it actually falls under the telehealth portion of the CARES Act. So my monitor can actually be seen on a screen at any transporting hospital, so that the doctor can actually look at my screen real live and get temperature, blood pressure, end-tidal CO2, oxygen saturation, blood saturation levels, and a 12-lead EKG. As long as we have it hooked up and the Wi-Fi connections are working, you can actually look at that patient for 30 minutes, just like if they were in the hospital. And that way, they may not have to be transported and then exposed to different people along the way, besides just the crew that is already there working on it. So the price is $145,602. The good thing about this is our monitors now are coming up upon the end of their life in a few years. So this will reset that clock for another approximately 8 to 10 years if we take really good care of them.
Chief, if I might, as you know, the Board of Public Works has to look at certain purchasing statutes when we're spending city money. This qualifies as a special purchasing method because it's compatible with the existing products that we have, which also helps with training. But the nice thing about it is we can then, the Board of Works previously determined that our old machines were surplus, so we'll be able to take those and trade them in on this specific manufacturer and get the $20,000 reduction that Chief was referring to. And then again, just to clarify, because we got this type, this model, and remote access types of things, it will then allow us to be reimbursed 100% with the CARES Act.
Perfect. Okay, and this is also a public hearing, so I'll open it up for public hearing at this time. Any questions? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Council, if you have any questions, ask now. If not, we're ready for motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
we move to approve common council budget ordinance number 2016 in the amount of $145,602.
Second.
Second by Mr. Taylor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Thank you, Mr. Blankenship.
You're welcome, man. You are too, Chief.
No, thank you, sir. Okay, next, common council budgetary ordinance number 20-18, additional appropriation of local road and bridge matching grant fund capital 2020, $421,348.50. Clerk treasurer, Ms. Jane Rose.
Thank you, Mayor. This was brought before you at the last meeting. It is our portion for the community crossings grant for 2020.
So this is also a public hearing.
Correct.
So does anybody have any questions for Ms. Rhodes? We'll close the public hearing, and now does the council have any follow-up questions? Because it does seem like we've talked about this quite a few times for the last few meetings. So if you have any questions and confused about anything, feel free to unconfuse yourself, because it takes me a little while too, so I see it every day.
I move to approve common council budgetary ordinance 20-18.
Second.
Motion and a second by Mr. Ryerson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll go to the next item. Common council budgetary ordinance number 20-19, an additional appropriation local road and bridge matching grant fund 2019 refund to NDOT for closeout a community crossing grant, $103,799.44. Ms. Jane Rhodes.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is before you again. This is the money that will be our portion. We closed out the 2019 Community Crossings Grant. We sent $103,799.44 back to NDOT, and this is our portion.
And this is also a public hearing. So open up the public hearing. Any questions? Hearing none, close the public hearing. And back to the council for questions or motion.
Move to approve common council budgetary ordinance number 20-19, the additional appropriation for the local road and bridge matching grant fund.
Second.
Motion and a second by Mr. Ryderson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll go to new business.
Move to read new business by title only. Second.
I wanted to say Mr. Hukin on that second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll go to item number 1. We can take action on this one. Common Council Budgetary Resolution number 20-10, authorizing a transfer from local road and bridge matching grant fund to the MVH 201, $51,899.72. LRS 202, $18,683.90. And General Fund 101, $33,215.82, for a total of $103,799.44 for Treasurer Jane Rhodes.
Thank you, sir. What we just approved before of the $103,000, this is how it broke down. These are the departments that we took the money from to be able to match the 2019 Community Crossings Grant. So they will get a portion of what's left over back.
So this doesn't have to be a public hearing, but I'm going to ask for a public hearing anyway. If anybody has any questions, feel free.
And Madam Clerk, Treasurer purposes of the audience, we are not spending additional monies. These were already been appropriated by this council long
Correct.
ago. We're simply doing your bookkeeping to make sure.
Right, it
goes
came
back
in
where it came.
under budget, and so we get to
Take that
what
money.
comes in under budget, we have to split with NDOT, and this is our portion of it, but we like to put it all back where it originally came from.
We're not appropriating, we're not spending anymore.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, and I'll just make a comment here. It come in under budget, we got $1 million grant, and NDOT's getting back $103,000 out of that $1 million grant. They're getting $103,799.44. However, it's real hard when you go try to bid $2 million worth of work, and Mark has to estimate what's that going to come to, and then we apply for the grant. And then when the bid comes in lower than what the estimate was, which is a good thing, that's why we didn't use all $1 million and save this back and I can use it somewhere else. Explain that well enough, Mark?
Perfectly.
Okay. All right, so
You can't draw a circle without you can't design your road, you'll just figure out how big.
well, I can design it, I just don't know how to write it all
Oh,
out.
okay.
So, Ms. Gray, can we move on this time?
Yes, you can. This is ready for your approval if you so desire.
Mayor, if there's no other comments from the council, I move to approve common council budgetary resolution number 20-10.
Second.
Second by Lisa. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Next, Common Council Budgetary Ordinance number 20-17, budgetary ordinance amending budgetary ordinance number 20-01, amending and authorizing the payment of the cemetery records clerk salary for the year 2020, Civil City Clerk Treasurer Jane Rhodes.
Yes, sir. This is basically housekeeping also. No money really is involved. Our ordinance, if you will recall, we had Sandy from the mayor's office retired last year. Julie from cemetery came over to fill her position. Her salary warranted more money, so we had to change that. This is for 2020 only. It's not 21 going forward. So we're just doing some housekeeping so that it makes it all work.
And we determined this is introduction only, is that correct?
Yes.
Because it's an ordinance amendment. Thank you.
Okay, that was introduction only. If there's no questions, we'll move on for time's sake, and we can ask questions next time. If that's okay with everybody? Go ahead, ask the question. All right, I'll cut you off. Request approval of joint resolution of the Board of Works and Common Council approving interlocal agreement between the town of New Whiteland and City of Franklin concerning the sale of personal property, a fire squad truck, not a fire truck, a fire squad truck. City Attorney Lynn Gray and Chief Matt Cole. Either or,
Okay.
whatever you want.
Council members, I would indicate to you, I'm not sure this has to be before you, but since our department heads very often are coming in and asking for monies to be appropriated, it only makes sense that we have a nice coordination between the Board of Works and the City Council. So when possible, I will bring it before you. As you know, the Board of Works is our purchasing and disposing agent in the City of Franklin. So they make the determinations of what things we buy and what things we get, and you folks appropriate the money to pay for it. Under the terms of our statutes, if we have property that we no longer need, we can either dispose of it at public auction and public sale, or we can enter into agreements with other local government entities, which we've done on numerous occasions. Sold a fire truck to Edinburgh, we gave our stage to Martinsville. We don't run a garage sale, but we do try to cooperate with other local entities, because oftentimes they need the same supplies that we have. Brett is helpful with the department heads in going out and getting a fair market value appraisal of what those items are when we no longer need them. In this particular case, he did so. This fire squad truck has a fair market value of $3,000. The town of New Whiteland has indicated they would like to purchase it from us, and they would pay $3,500. So we're getting a fair price in exchange for it. So in order to do that, the Board of Works passes a resolution. We've also asked your consideration in passing that same resolution to enter into an interlocal agreement with the town of Whiteland, authorizing us to give them the truck in exchange for $3,500. That's what's before.
And just to clarify, the new squad truck is covered under the CARES Act.
Correct.
Yes, so you already purchased, or appropriated, and now the Board of Works has agreed to purchase the new truck. That will be 100% reimbursable. This is a 2007 Ford Expedition, so obviously it's not a fire truck and it's an older vehicle. And the reason we decided not to trade it in at the time, the rules of the CARES Act were a little bit tighter, and if we would have traded it in on the purchase price, we would have got reimbursed less. So that's why I actively sought out somebody to purchase it, so that the full purchase amount would be paid for our new vehicle from the CARES Act. So in reality, it would have hurt us to trade this in at that time frame. So New Whiteland Fire agreed that they would purchase it. We settled upon a deal. Mrs. Gray has drawn up the document. The lawyer has seen it. As I was giving this same presentation, the Board of Works, he was calling me. So when I get out of here, I will call Lee Robbins, which is their town attorney, to make sure that they get their part done and bring a check to Mrs. Rhodes.
And we are selling it as is.
Yes.
And we can take action.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the Board of Works did also approve it.
Okay, is there any comments from the public? Hearing none, we'll close that. We're ready for council action.
So move.
Second, Mr. Taylor. All those in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, thank you. Next item. Request approval to transfer funds from 300 to 200 Parks Department, and we can do this one because we're not appropriating.
Correct. Just transferring your funds within the series. Yes. Yes, sir.
Not asking for new money tonight. It's asking to,
Is this on? Get it on the record, please.
just transfer, from 300 to 200 for the rest of the year. That's all it is.
Okay,
Is there a specific amount?
$12,000.
Yes, sir. It's just a transfer.
I'll move to approve as presented.
Second.
motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Okay, there isn't any other business, so we'll go into council comments. Mr. Austin, I see you're limping around. Everything new?
I'll continue to be living for a while. Cast comes off Wednesday, and then it's been another month, 2 more weeks. So we'll see what happens after that.
Okay. Now's a good time for you to play youth basketball.
No. Not happening.
Okay, Mr. Blankenship?
No comments, Mayor.
Okay, you made a motion tonight. That was enough.
That was it.
Mr. Hubert?
I've got a new knee, and I'll take you on the basketball. I got a couple comments. One is I want to welcome Ken back. I know you're going through an ordeal with that knee right now, so good to see you. This is, doesn't really relate to city council, but it relates to the city because it's a good thing that's happening here. And I'm going to mention at our local bank, we've got a retirement coming up in about another year and a half, where Pam Spencer is giving up her duties as trust officer and the HR administrator. And I think I'm free to say this, that I welcome Ann McGinnis to the position effective October the 19th, I believe. So anyway, welcome to downtown Franklin. Welcome down. Good thing for the bank, good thing for Franklin. That's all I got.
That's all you got?
That's all I got.
Ms. Jones? Nothing? Ms. McGinnis, talk about your new job.
Well, okay, so I took a couple weeks off before starting the job. And I saw today we have a new jewelry store coming, right?
Yes.
I know. I was so excited. I just had to mention that because I'm invited and we finally have another jewelry store. So anyway, that's all.
What's that?
It's right across from RFD.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
yeah, I had no idea.
Has anybody told Joe?
Is it Joe's office?
No, I haven't gotten that good.
Human Services.
I haven't told my wife either.
Oh, no.
Trying to keep that one quiet. No ribbon cuttings there. I'm just kidding. Welcome any new business to Franklin. Chris Reinerson?
No comment.
Sean Taylor?
Nothing tonight, sir.
Ms. Rhodes?
No, sir.
Tara?
I'm good.
Ms. Gray?
I've talked enough, thank you, sir.
Hearing